Hello. Hi. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are. I want to welcome you to Papa Bear again. It's been a while since we did this, but I'm here again. I want to restart sharing my thoughts and my ideas and some of the stuff that's occurring to me as we go along. I want to have a series of conversations over the next few videos about what I'm calling uncomfortable conversations. This last week, I lost a friend, a very close friend of mine, who was my former schoolmate. We were in campus together, and we're kind of at the same station in life. Young family, professional, getting his career going, getting to senior leadership where he was working, and guy just died. No explanation. He was healthy, he was okay. We came to find out later what happened, but there was really no warning, there was no explanation, there was nothing to tell us that this was going to happen. But it happened. And we're burying him this weekend. And I sat at the funeral service just yesterday, and I felt such an overwhelming sense of grief. It's one thing to see parents or people who are elderly passing on. It's not easier. It's not any easier. But there's a sense in which they've sort of lived their lives, and especially if they've been unwell, then you kind of see it coming. But when it's a young guy who has got no pre-existing conditions, no illness, and just passes on, I mean, it was so shocking for me. And the funeral service was so well attended. It was a weekday in the middle of the week, afternoon, and guys showed up. I mean, the church was almost half full, even with this COVID restrictions. So it to me, it just spoke of the kind of person that he was. And sitting there in the church that day, I thought to myself, wow, this is a powerful conversation to have. And I was asking myself, what would my funeral be like? Who would come, and why would they come? What would be the draw for people to feel the loss if I was to pass on? What is it that I'm doing that's helping or benefiting or impacting on people's lives, right? And to me, that's a powerful conversation for us to have as dads, right? As a man, as a father, you need to be asking yourself, what is your impact? Who are the people whose lives are changing as a result of you? If you were to go today, who would miss you? Who would feel bereft at your demise? There's your immediate family, obviously, but as a man, and as a dad who has a commission to raise children in the right way, I believe that your life touches on many people's lives. Your actions, your activities, the things that you do, the things you say, the way you operate, the way you do your life, the way you live your life, it touches on many other people. And that came so clearly to me when I was sitting in the church yesterday. And I thought to myself, how prepared is my family for this? What do I have in place to make sure that transition is as smooth as possible? We have sometimes we have drama around in-laws. There are times when you if somebody passes on, his family comes in and starts to take over the home in complete disregard of the wife and the children. So what are we doing as dads to safeguard our own families from this kind of predatory behavior, right? I found myself thinking about the measures that I have in place, the kind of relationships that I have in place with my own family regarding my wife and her and our kids, right? And are we in a place where that kind of thing will not happen if I was to suddenly die? So I think it's part of the conversation. It's an uncomfortable thing to think about, but when you think about what quality of life your family will have in after your demise, you have to ask yourself, how are you making sure that happens? And what are you doing to ensure that the relationships that can compromise that comfort are being dealt with now? Are you setting in place the boundaries, or are you setting in place the bridges across these divides that you can actually that will be used later on when your family needs to deal with certain issues? So, it just really got me thinking on a very philosophical level about what life is and what life means. But on a very practical level also, just thinking, what are the specific things I have in place to make sure that, financially my family is secure, psychologically, they know that they're going to miss me. It's going to be hard for them, but they know that they're safe, that I'm able to safeguard them even from the grave. So there's a lot that I got thinking about, and I just feel it's something that we need to talk about as men. We don't talk about death because we feel like we're inviting it. Culturally, speaking of death is inviting it. But I think it's important to consider these things. It's important to put in place measures to make sure the transitions are smooth, because transitions do happen. Transitions will happen, and if there's anything that I've learned in the last couple of weeks is that transitions can happen instantly. It can happen with no warning. You can be perfectly healthy. You can be okay. You can be growing your career. You can be all right with God. You can be spiritually on point, and you just die. So these things happen, and we just need to be prepared. And even more importantly, not just preparing ourselves, but preparing those around us, those who we love, so that they are not overly burdened by our exit, or that they're not, they already have to deal with the grief. Okay, let's not add another layer of complexity on their lives by making it so hard for them to live after you're gone. Right. So, yeah, those are just thoughts. And I think over the next few videos, I want to talk about that in a bit of detail in terms of what are some of the practical things that we can do to smoothen the transitions. What are some of the tangible measures we can put in place? What are some of the relationships we need to be looking out for just to ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible? Who are the people who need to be involved? What is the action plan? Do you have a will in place? Do you have like a trustee for the assets that you have, or the things that you're planning to do? Do you have an ally who can stand with your wife and with your kids to protect them, and to sort of step in for you, to do the things that you would do as a man, especially in the first few days, weeks, months, years even of your demise. So all things we're going to talk about and just see what's the best way forward. So stay with me. Let's see how this thing goes. Yeah. And as usual, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Please comment. Please share. Let's get these conversations going. We really want to make sure that our fatherhood or our exit is not a burden. We don't want to be a burden to our family. We want to make sure that our family feels protected and covered even when we're gone. Yeah, tough conversations, but they must be had. So let's join in. Let's do this. Right? Cheers.